When you're successful in life, you go to college, you graduate, you go to law school, you pass the bar, you get a good job representing clients, any and all clients. Sometimes the clients are very successful, and then you become very successful. But you never think you will represent a case involving the dark side, spirits, the occult, while representing your clients. Hello, my name is Malachi Liss, and I have an extraordinary opportunity for the individual or couples that want to enhance their life financially. My company, Liss Associates, and my distinguished, who I will not name now, deceased artistic legend, in his will, has made it a point through my firm, Liss Associates, to put his house up for free. No charge, no taxes. The only stipulation is that you spend the entire evening inside the house, rather cavernous. And if you like your stay and you're able to feel comfortable, you may inherit a $1.8 million home free of charge. Again, I am Malachi Liss, Esquire. This ad will be circulating all over social media, and I will be interviewing all candidates for my deceased clients' final wishes. You won't be receiving the house, Norris. Thank you. From Liss Associates. I will be in touch. think at List Associates. What's the catch? I say it's no catch. List Associates doesn't comment on any rumors about my client's home, or former home in this case. What has been reported is just myth. That being said, we at List Associates do not believe when you take your last breath that you come back. We do not believe at List Associates in ghosts or goblins. So the reports by the cleaning crew after my client perished of being haunted in my client's home, we want to debunk that theory. And any tragic event that happened, according to the cleaning crew, after my client perished, happened to them in any form of witchcraft, occult, goblins, ghosts. Quite frankly, we don't believe in that, as I stated prior. There will be an extensive social media push through me listening to all of your pitches to unearth this home, and what individual couple or couples that stay overnight in my client's $1.8 million home. Whoever is able to enjoy their evening and prove this is all hearsay will get the deed from me, Malachi List of List Associates. You have my word on it. Now, my client, Frank Wright, before he perished, allowed a foreign exchange student, a Japanese foreign exchange student by the name of Asuka, to move into his property free of charge. And Frank was reaching out to the youth. Asuka wanted to be a doctor, and she was a med student going to the University of Pennsylvania. And then one day, Asuka just got up and left. My client, Frank Wright, didn't know where she went. Now, the mystery of the whole thing is Asuka left her clothes and belongings. Now, that was the mystery. I even got involved calling the Japanese consulate, and they claim Asuka never came back home to Japan. Now, there's nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, dark about Bliss and Associates. We know how to use our pen at my firm. We write checks for charity, and we write checks for and on our cases. For example, I wrote a check for $9,000, and I had 3 professionals, paranormal workers, come to the house and inspect the house thoroughly with their EMF detectors. 2 out of the 3 left the home with no problem. The third individual we can't account for. But that does not mean anything whatsoever happened to that individual. They just disappeared. extraordinary is a gift that you, quite frankly, didn't earn. You didn't put one penny into the property, which is extraordinary. You will be inheriting a home you have no business being in. But we want to dispel the myths of this lawsuit by this cleaning crew, some of which may or may not have died of natural causes inside the home, as their company claims they did. But we at List Associates are going to have people who are breathing God's air stay overnight, and they won't have a problem there. And we will be triumphant in this bogus case. When you want a victory, you hire Malachi List from List and Associates. If you don't want to deal with the sharks, don't go into the water. It won't be a good outcome. And the outcome here will be not guilty for my client, Frank Wright, on unfortunate deaths and disappearances inside his property. But when you're going up against me in a court of law, it's like you're going up against a mandrill, a hungry mandrill, who's ready to eat you and regurgitate you out. And I'm that mandrill. Hi, David. Yeah, this is Malachi List, and I really appreciate you getting back to me, informing me that you and your wife will be looking at the property that I want you to enjoy. And hopefully you'll be able to let me know how your night went. And you will have to fill out paperwork about all the amenities in the house. It's an extraordinary house, as you know, with lots of land. So get back to me and let me know so we can pin down the dates. This Saturday into Sunday night stay would be great. I have the keys, so do not worry. The fridge will be filled. There'll be plenty of wine. So I'm just leaving my home now and going for a little walk when I get down to the drive. Again, this is Malachi List, Esquire. and his family secured a home up on Germantown Pike. I thought I had reeled them in, but the prospect of coming in the home to prove my case, but unfortunately, I couldn't use him. Today is litigation day. Today is when I make the Cleaning Crew Corporation, and yes, I said their names, squirm in their chairs because they will be facing Listen Associates. They cannot prove that people who are not on this earth anymore created the deaths of their employees. Today at Listen Associates, we're going to make an example of scum. And we're going to clean their clocks. I look forward to this litigation down on the Parkway, the beautiful Philadelphia Parkway, as I walk to my firm across from the great water fountains and sculptures of this city. This is about the truth. And sometimes you can't prove the truth. It was a bamboozlement of injustice down at the courtroom in front of the judge. By the way, who's good friends with me. I went to law school with him. Listen Associates dominated the proceedings. The Cleaning Crew Corporation, show photos of the employees' demise in my client's home while cleaning. But that did not prove that human beings and or my client was responsible for their death. It's unprecedented, this case, that deaths were blamed on people who don't walk the earth here no more. So, the third paranormal employee we did find had an unfortunate fall down the stairs when they were investigating for this case. Fell and broke his neck. It's a case of just a misstep. So, Listen Associates, have saved a lot of money, and I'm still looking for clients to give a look-see into the home. I had a feeling that something was going to happen tonight. I just didn't know what. I was heading down to Chinatown after work when I got out of City Hall. And it was a little late. I decided to come home. I was going to get my favorite, which is shrimp et fouillon and an egg roll with the mustard that makes you cry, literally. Your nose burn and a tear comes down your eye. That's how hot the mustard is. But it's a tradition down in Chinatown, one of my favorite places in the city. But I got an intuition tonight wouldn't be a good night. Almost as if I was escaping my own death. But anyway, none of us can do that. I just had a strong feeling something was a little out of sorts in Chinatown. Full disclosure, sometimes a lie becomes the truth, especially in a court of law. Now, it's up to the jurors to decide if they're going to accept that lie or if they can find the truth. Now, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, only a human being can be convicted of murder. That's why this case is so unprecedented. Entities, the paranormal, responsible for death, has never been litigated inside a courtroom. Now, have I ever experienced the paranormal? Around 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. I've heard bumps in the night. I believe it was my ancestors. I've seen things in the corner of my eye, some call the fifth element, and then, just like that, they dissipate. Vamoose. So, my question to you is, have you experienced bumps in the night? And if so, who was it? There's only one civil case that's still being worked upon. One of the survivors of the cleaning crew family has filed a civil lawsuit against my client, the late, great Frank Wright, an unbelievable artist, sold millions of dollars in his pastel paintings. And that's who I'm representing. I'll release his name at this point. He's no longer with us, and I handle his estate. And her family, indigenous woman's family, claims that the young lady who survived has schizophrenia, psychosis, borderline personality. You name it, she has it. It has nothing to do with my client and the fact that she was cleaning his home. And we're going to fight it, which is why I'm still seeking overnight stayers in his place. Here are the two victims that suffered death inside my client's home, and the only survivor before she went insane, Miss Patel. Every blue moon or so, I get humbled and I drive through my mother's old area of town in Kensington, now infested with drug dealers and heroin addicts. Sometimes you run out of food. Last night I realized I only had cheese and frozen chicken in the refrigerator. When you're working too much, these are the things that happen. Yes, can I have a half a pound of liverwurst? That's all. Now tomorrow, I will be going back down Center City. Back down for this last case involving my client, the great Frank Wright, artist extraordinaire, who gained wealth in his life through his artistry. And I am not going to let this unfortunate woman's parents get their palms greased because she was cleaning inside of his home and had an unfortunate mishap there. Now, I will be speaking to my friends, otherwise known as judges, and it will be an absolute bloodbath for these young lawyers, because Liz and Associates aren't playing at this point. We didn't kill anyone. Nobody killed anyone. Nobody currently alive did anyway. Kathy? Yes, is the assistant in the judge's chambers? Okay. Okay. I'm heading in now. I'm at City Hall and I'm heading in. Just another day at City Hall. But this case will be over soon. Definitely, my client will prevail. It's the city of brotherly love, indeed. Even when you're down here doing litigation hearings, just reminding you how great this city is. That's why bogus cases have to be stopped. I'll reveal the home. It's in the prestigious neighborhood of Chestnut Hill on Bells Mills Road. The house is enormous. I'll be showing pictures and things of that nature. There's even a pet owl that my client Frank Wright had, Geronimo, that still comes down through the chimney. So outside of Geronimo, and he can't kill anybody. The house is in pristine shape. Aren't we all just dead ducks anyway? I love riding the train home. There's less heathens on SEPTA's regional rails. And even though I charge a $4,000 retaining fee and $300 an hour, I don't like paying $30 just for half-hour parking in Center City. Well, the exculpatory evidence was a slam dunk for us at List and Associates. The surviving lady, family filing the lawsuit, said a 5'4" lady inside the home was wielding a sledgehammer that killed the other crew members. There's no evidence whatsoever of a 5'4" woman in my client's home on any of the surveillance cameras wielding a sledgehammer, killing the crew. Exculpatory evidence is beautiful. You get on your social media platforms, young people, and support this lady that was cleaning in my client's house. Support her to the fact that 24 of you union workers came down and testified about how great of an employee she was. Do you know when you went on strike 2 years ago? Do you know who pumped in $50,000 to your unions so your parents can eat and you can eat? Guess who it was? It was List and Associates. And this is how you treat me, demanding that we reach a deal and pay her mother and father $3 million out of my client's estate? You expect me to think that's justified off of hearsay? And that's all it is. Hearsay, young people. But I got a thing to tell you. I know you're backing her, Miss Patel. We never did anything to harm that young lady. We gave her an honest pay at an honest price at my client's house. But that's okay. I have a long memory at Listen Associates. When I'm being generous, helping people eat and survive when they go on strike because they're being mistreated. You can kick Listen Associates once, but you won't kick us twice. I'll be reading from all the different platforms of social media because I gave to your family. And we will not settle for $3 million off of a so-called haunted house. My client is innocent, and Listen Associates will prove it. Week after week, day after day, we're going to support him. We're going to support his estate. We believe of these unfounded charges of ghosts and goblins creating murder, and my client has to be responsible. Are you kidding me? There's no way on God's green earth, you ungrateful bastards, that I'll ever pay you or Miss Patel's family. You have my word on that. You're not going to convince me that ghouls and specters walk the face of this earth. Maybe they're in another realm somewhere. When it comes to representing my client's estate, we aren't buying it. Death occurred, yes, inside his property. We don't know it was there. Even tonight, this minute, we don't know what's in his house on Bells Mills Road. All I know is that it's empty. And that's the most important thing. Scotch on the rocks, yes. Demons, no. You know, Aristotle once said, quality is a habit and not an act. When you get used to certain behaviors, like my client Frank Wright, of curiosity and reading about the afterlife, and in his case, searching for answers. Sometimes you can go in the wrong direction. Some of the searches he did was witchcraft and voodoo. Not to judge my client, but things can happen that quickly, and you can get brought into a realm you wish you didn't. without sin, cast the first stone. This is one of the portraits that my client Frank Wright donated to me. This piece is called The Mountain. Frank was born in Macon, Georgia. Before he came north, great exhibit of his works. Now these statements is off the record. My client, Frank Wright, in the end, suffered from depression to the point where he had to take medications. Up until that point, me and Frank had great communication. A love of wine. Frank had around 24 barrels of wine shipped in from France, Italy, Spain, Germany, the best of the best. And I spent several days over Frank's enjoying that wine as we mapped out where our next deals were going to come, selling his art throughout the world, having magnificent art shows. But Frank started changing after he purchased a book, The World of Ghouls and Darkness. I seen a change in Frank. It affected him. It affected his marriage of 38 years to Lily Mae Wright, who wound up outside on the ground, covered in blood, her head cracked open after she jumped to a suicide from her second-floor bedroom. The last year and some change, Frank and Lily Mae did not even share the same bedroom. So, full disclosure, we are not in a courtroom or around a jury of any peer group, but things got real murky with my client. I was able to finish his estate before he went mad. There was also a cement tomb near the wine barrels. Frank always kept it closed. Until this day, I don't know what's inside there. does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? Powerful words from the Bible. And I feel as though I forfeited my soul a long time ago for success and money. This case is the perfect example. All I can do is sit back and finish it and try to live with myself afterwards. We all have demons and skeletons that we try to put away, but they live with you every day. This case is eating at my spirits, just chomping away at my flesh. But it's the career I chose, and I have to move forward with it. I used to go to church. I wasn't always a pompous jerk. Once upon a time, I had a soul, I had integrity, until greed took over. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Today, I'll be transitioning over to the property on Bells Mills Road. Didn't sleep too well last night. I had an intuition to get the keys to the tomb inside my client's basement. We both know off the record there's something killing people inside there. So unless we keep the property empty, we got to figure out our own riddle. My assistant Kathy is going to be meeting me over at the property. Even a lawyer sometimes seeks out the truth.
What killed you inside my client's property?
Don't read books of witchcraft like my client. Bells Mills Road.
I now must step into my client's world of the occult.
She killed Kathy, and she's coming after me. a narrow escape. I've done mostly good in my life, but I almost died in my client's home. That ghost or that winch really tried to kill me.